My name is Keith Johnson. I'm from Auburndale, 54 years old. I'm a pool contractor. Early March, mid-March, I contracted COVID. I was the first person in Auburndale, the community, to contract it. I went to an urgent care facility, and upon x-raying my lungs, they told me to immediately go to the emergency room, that they would call ahead. I was admitted to Winter Haven Hospital. I was a good solid week and a half to 2 weeks into the illness at that point, and could barely function. They, at that point, admitted me to the ICU unit, and they told me that my only option was to go on a ventilator, which I did. Well, the doctors were very honest with me. They told me that the ventilator had a 30 to 40% survivability rate at that time. So I knew I didn't have a whole lot of options, but I also knew that I couldn't breathe, and I was struggling, and I was very weak. Spent 11 days there in the ICU. They really gave me the best care. The same day I was extubated, at that point they took my care to a negative pressure room. I was very traumatized. I made it into the negative pressure room. It was a very small room, but the nurses on Street 1 came right in as soon as I was there. And one of the first people that I met on Street 1 was a young lady named Mackenzie. She reached out to me at that point and asked me if I had any kind of a spiritual background or if I was religious. And I conveyed to her that my father, who I'd lost just 6 weeks ago, was a minister. And so she asked me how I felt about praying, and I told her it was very important to me. And she took my hand and kneeled at my bedside and prayed for me. When I was admitted, I was not allowed to have anybody in the ER or in the hospital or the pre-ventilation process. The nurses kind of became my family over that 26-day period. I was in that negative pressure facility for 17 days. I was so weak from being on the ventilator, I couldn't pick up a fork. I certainly couldn't even hold my head up straight. They allowed that for a couple of days. Then the girls came in fighting for me. I'd given up. It was over for me. I didn't care if I lived or died. Never been in that position in my life. And they came in 5 strong, swinging the door open. Nurses piled into my room. They struggled with me. They pushed me to get up. They picked me up. They put me in a recliner, tucked pillows in everywhere around me so that I would be comfortable. And they taught me to get back to my feet. I was told, you're gonna get to go home on Thursday. Now, I had spent, at that point, 26 days in the hospital. So I was ready for day 27 to get there. I had only seen these people coming in with blue suits and blue hats and visors and face masks. So I didn't see any of my caretakers. I just saw everybody the same. Well, that day, Mackenzie came in, and she walked in, and she did not have gowns and the gloves and the face shields. It was amazing because she has blonde hair. It was incredible. They told me they had something special for me, and when they rolled me out of the room, I noticed there was people lining the halls. So we just started rolling, and people were cheering, and my ears were just filling. Got through the first set of doors, and they had allowed my wife into the hospital. They had her hid behind a door, and when she stepped out, I lost it. I hadn't seen her in 27 days, and I didn't think I was ever going to see her again. It was pretty emotional, and the hall never ended. It was a mile long, and it was lined with hundreds of Baycare employees. It's funny because a lot of the nurses, what they see is their small everyday tasks. From a patient perspective, it's very much a defining moment in your life, and I had several with Baycare.